Hello and welcome to Internship Week. We are so glad that you've joined us today, and we'd like to welcome you into a session that I think you'll be so excited about once you start to learn about this program. But first, I would like to give you some information about how you can communicate with Hannah. And the first way that you can communicate with her is really is putting your information in the chat. You know, if you have a question, go ahead and put the question in the general chat. And then also Hannah has included a form that she would like you to fill out. So that is also in the chat. And I will also be following up by sending you an email with that form attached. So let's start here. Hannah Roberg, LLM, is the director of HACU's National Internship Program and Strategic Initiatives. She will present on the available opportunities with the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, or HACU, specifically in regards to the federal paid internship program. Hannah is a Fulbright scholar and has worked in education for the past 7 years, abroad and domestically, at nonprofits, to research institutions like the University of Wisconsin-Madison. As a passionate advocate for education accessibility, Hannah is excited to share HACU opportunities with you all today. So welcome, Hannah. It's all yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I am indeed so happy to be with you all today to cover the opportunities available at HACU. With that, I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you can see my PowerPoint. So like I said, I will be focusing on HACU's National Internship Program, or as we call it, HNIP, which is indeed a federal internship opportunity. It is paid, and we want you to apply. Additionally, I will cover other HACU programs just very briefly and refer you to our website. The HACU, the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, works to advocate for Hispanic serving institutions, as well as provide student programming across the country and even internationally. We currently have 569 HSI members and are a nonprofit supporting those institutions. The HACU National Internship Program has been around for 30 years with over 14,000 alumni. So that is what we are going to get to today. So what is HNIP? HNIP, like I said, provides internships with federal agencies. We work with a huge variety of federal agencies, including the National Science Foundation, Center for Disease Control, Securities and Exchange Commission, U.S. Department of Agriculture, U.S. Agency for International Development, Department of Interior, Department of Congress, NASA. We have a huge range of federal agencies that we partner with and that you can intern with. These are paid internships. Current pay rates are as follows on the screen. Undergraduate students or students having just graduated with an undergraduate degree, so that includes associates and bachelors, would be paid at $15.50 per hour, whereas graduate students will be $17.25 per hour. I say these are spring rates because we do adjust them time to time for inflation. But these internships are offered year round. We have fall, spring, and summer sessions that we run throughout the year. We are currently calling for summer and fall applicants, and hopefully by the end of this presentation, you're ready to start your application. We do have a variety of, not only agencies that we work with, but also types of positions and formats of positions. Silver lining of COVID is that we now have virtual and hybrid options. Historically speaking, we were all in person for our internships, but we now have the majority of our internships being virtual, a good chunk being hybrid, while some are slowly returning to in person. For the summer, we are looking, like I said, majority virtual. And if you are hybrid or in person for an internship, we are looking for local location for you. But apply because there will be opportunities no matter where you're located, considering our virtual options. We also have a variety of full-time and part-time options. For summer, most of our positions, 90% of them are going to be full-time for summer. But then in fall and spring, we do have some full-time, but the majority then are part-time in fall and spring. In addition to, just the nature of the program being an amazing professional experience, we do also offer professional development seminars throughout the session for our interns. We bring in, the Office of Personnel Management for the federal government. We bring them in to do a series on how to apply to federal jobs. We partner with Security Exchange Commission or the FDIC to have a financial 101 session. We partner with other agencies to provide diversity and equity and inclusion training. So we do really, seek out these opportunities to have for our interns, professional development, not only on the job, but also in addition with these seminars. We also are support staff for our interns. So, we're here to support you throughout the semester, whether that's with conflict resolution, figuring out your time card, or, just wanting to, get academic credit at your institution, what have you. We are here to support you in this endeavor. Now, hopefully you're excited about this potential and wondering if you qualify, if you're eligible. So despite our organization's name being Hispanic, you do not need to be Hispanic to apply to this program. We welcome all races and ethnicities and backgrounds for this internship program. Additionally, we have positions for every major. And when I say that, I mean it. We have majors, positions for majors spanning from business to human resources to finance to science, whether it's biology, chemistry, environmental science, public health, poli-sci, political science, as well as, other liberal arts majors, engineering, sociology. I was just working on a sociology position yesterday. I see that also in the chat, child development. We actually have an internship for summer that is focusing on prenatal and postnatal health as it relates to child well-being and mother well-being with I believe USDA, Food and Nutrition Service. So we seriously have positions for every major. I mean it. Psychology, absolutely. With the CDC, there are those opportunities. I also like to tell students that, lots of times we think of these federal agencies, for example, the U.S. Department of Agriculture tends to be our largest partner. You might think that only agriculture majors are going to be partnered with the USDA. But although there are a lot of agriculture positions, there's also a international affairs office that is looking for political science and international development. There's also the human resources department. There's also the communications department. There's also nutrition focused on, like I said, family well-being. So there's a huge variety even within agencies beyond what their name necessarily represents. So lots of opportunities there. You can find the listings to our positions on our website. I will pop that in the chat at the end. I will, don't let me forget to do that. I will send you the link for our available positions. We are constantly adding to that list. I will say that we have more requests for summer than we have had in years. And so quite frankly, we really need applicants, and we need applicants soon, as we are filling these positions as we speak. So that is, well, I hope I can tell you all today to go home and work on your application, or you're already home maybe, to go work on your application, because there's opportunities that await. We do require that you are a degree seeking student. However, that can be any level, whether that's associates, bachelor's, master's, JD, PhD, what have you. You must have completed at least 1 year of undergraduate studies. So what that means is if you are in your second semester as a freshman, you are full-time fall and spring, you are already eligible for summer. So we just want you to have, 2 full-time semesters under your belt before you are starting your internship. We do also have some positions for recent graduates. And so to clarify on that point, if you are graduating this spring, depending on, if that's depending on trimester or semester, if you're graduating this spring, you are always eligible for summer positions. Beyond that, we do have a select amount of positions for recent graduates, specifically a program with the Library of Congress that's an intern to hire position. But other than that, most of our positions are going to require you to be currently enrolled, or like I said, if you're a spring graduate, you are eligible for summer. We do require U.S. citizenship for the vast majority of our positions. This is not a HAKU rule. It's not even always a job-specific rule. It is simply because the security clearance that is required for working for the federal government with the majority of our agencies is going to require U.S. citizenship. Now, we did have a DACA student working for us last semester with Fish and Wildlife Service, so there are those positions available. It just depends on the agency and their security clearance process. So we do still encourage, permanent residents legally authorized to work in the U.S. DACA students to apply, but just recognize that there are going to be less positions available, just again, depending on the agency and their security clearance process. I want to be very clear that your citizenship status is only viewed for eligibility purposes. It is not otherwise taken into consideration. If a position is open to anybody legally authorized to work in the U.S., then we no longer look at that question, and it's not factored into your qualification, just your eligibility. I don't see any questions in the chat about that, but again, feel free to pop them in there. Otherwise, I will have some time at the end. So now hopefully you're excited about the program, you know that you're eligible, and so how do you apply? Our application has, the standard components. We want to know about your education, we want to know about your skills and your work history. There is a short essay, just 500 words, that you can think of like a cover letter or, a writing sample. And then the documents, and then we do require 1 to 3 references. 1 is required, but you can list up to 3. Those people are, if an agency would like to call a reference and talk to somebody, that's who those would be. That is not to be confused with the letter of recommendation. We do require 1 letter of recommendation, as well as official transcripts and enrollment verification. If you're not sure on how to get an enrollment verification, it's usually done through the registrar's office at your university, and you may even be able to request it directly from your student portal. Official transcripts, like I said, in the letter of recommendation, depending on, if your university does official transcripts that are password protected or what have you, you might be able to upload them yourself. If you are not able to upload them yourself, you can have your school or have your recommender send them via email to hnip@haku.net. If mailing is the only option, you can also send it to our office, but we highly encourage email whenever possible for receiving those documents officially. With that being said, I know I mentioned this already, we are really doing a strong call for summer applications, as we do have so many positions to fill. So with that, we are encouraging you to apply as soon as possible. We fill positions as soon as we get the requests from agencies. So we want your application on file. Only when your application is on file can you be considered for those positions. However, you apply once and you're considered for all of the positions that are open. So it's a great use of your time. By submitting one application, you have so many different opportunities available to you. In the interest of time in getting your application submitted, you can upload unofficial transcripts and your current course schedule if it's not easy for you to get your enrollment verification quickly, as well as your resume as a placeholder for the letter of recommendation. And that way you can get your application submitted. However, if you are selected, we will need those official documents. We will need to verify those. So you should still be working on getting them. And like I said, sending them via email to us, and we can add them to your application file so you're ready if you are selected. But in order to be immediately considered for the positions that we have to fill by the end of next week, apply as soon as possible. And actually, I see here this PowerPoint says that the application deadline is February 25th for summer. In fact, that has been extended to March 18th. Like I said, apply right now, but that the deadline has been extended to March 18th. For fall, we do actually already know our application deadline as well. That is going to be June 3rd. So keep that on your radar to make sure that you are eligible for fall positions. I also just want to, like I said, the application will be used with one application, you're considered for multiple positions. So that means that you don't want to limit yourself in terms of options. You want your application to cover all of your skills, so keeping it generic in that sense. But generic does not mean lacking detail, okay? In fact, the more details you can put into your application, the better, because you never know what that little tidbit is that's going to match you perfectly with a position. Lots of these positions we're looking for specific majors, but then we want, this sort of side skill, and we want to be able to see that in your application. So, load your application with details. If you've had experience with clubs doing their social media on campus, if you've had, experience with managing fellow students in your work study job, we want to know about that. Okay, so load up your application, consider making yourself the best candidate for these positions.
Hannah, can I add something here?
Yeah.
I strongly encourage you to come to the Career Center. Your essay or personal statement, you can start writing it, bring it in for a critique. You can bring it back into our drop-in hours. We have drop-in hours. If you just go to our homepage, and if John, if you will put that in the chat, please, which is csun.edu/career. You can see all of our resources that we have for you. You can print out your resume, bring it in, we'll review it, and then you change it, make the updates, bring it back. We'll review it again. We want you to have a really beautiful and clean document. When Hannah's talking about generic but loaded with details, I want to add one thing. That's because you're applying for multiple positions. You're open to multiple positions. And the government loves detail. So, so if you can talk about your skills within the resume, that will be very useful for you. And then my one last question, Hannah, to you actually, can it be more than one page, the resume?
So good question. Our application system actually compiles your resume automatically. So by completing the application, you are filling in the resume component. So you do not upload a copy of your resume per se. Now, if you are uploading your resume as a placeholder for the letter of recommendation in order to be considered immediately, in that case, federal resumes are much longer. So there is not a page limit. You know, for a college student, 2 pages is completely reasonable. You know, if not 3 for a federal resume. If you can keep it shorter, great. But, you know, like Jen was saying, the federal government does appreciate those details. So you don't need to be concise in the same way that you might need to be for the private sector. And I really appreciate you chiming in with that information about the Career Center at CSUN, at CSUN, because that was going to be my next point. Utilize that service. It is available to you on campus for a reason. It is, take advantage of it while you can. And you know, that by putting in the effort to make the best application, you're going to have the best foot forward. I do see there's a question in the chat about, you know, is this only, in terms of eligibility, is this only for young college students? Absolutely not. It is open to anybody degree seeking, okay? You know, maybe you're back in college as a change of career, maybe you're in college as a, you know, adult student. That is completely acceptable. We have interns, in fact, currently working for us in those scenarios. So that is completely acceptable. If you're taking classes on the side, as long as it's degree seeking, then you would qualify, like I said, in terms of eligibility. The other thing that I want to bring up is that for your application, you know, you put all this work in for summer and you don't get a position. Do not be deterred. Our availability of position changes all the time. Like I said, for summer, we have loads of positions, more than we've had in years. But with that being said, you know, it's different agencies every semester. Different majors have different amounts of positions every semester. So if you don't get a position one session, that doesn't mean that you're not a qualified applicant. It just means there wasn't a good fit for you that semester. So we encourage you to apply again and apply early. You know, you've already done the work into the application, get the next one in nice and early to be considered for the most amount of positions, and do not be deterred. We have interns, you know, I actually just submitted an applicant today that interned for us last spring. What wasn't a fit, or excuse me, for last summer, wasn't a fit for, you know, a position this spring, but is now getting a potential internship for the summer. So it ebbs and flows. So do not be deterred. In terms of the letter of recommendation, there are no strict requirements on who it comes from. You know, we say not family, but other than that, it can be an employer, it can be a professor, it can be an advisor, it can be, you know, a volunteer coordinator. There's, as long as it's somebody that can talk to an aspect of your abilities, then that is acceptable. Any other questions before I continue on? Seeing none, I will move on, and just very briefly, I want to leave time for questions. So with the next few slides, I'm going to talk about other opportunities available at Haku, but really ultimately just point you to our website to check them out. So the one that I want to touch on first and foremost, in addition to our federal internship program, we also have corporate internships. Corporate internships are only in summer compared to federal being fall, spring, and summer. And that application is open year round. There's less positions for corporate. So, you know, you wanna, again, put your best foot forward with that application, but definitely check that out on the website as well. And I will pop both emails in the chat at the end here as well. Other Haku internships, we are currently accepting applications for a fellowship program. that is specifically for graduate students in public health. If that's not you, but you know somebody who that does qualify, please point them in the direction. This is a phenomenal fellowship paid with the Department of Health and Human Services for a year. So it's a great opportunity for graduate public health students. So send that your way. If that's not you, send it to other people. I also want to point out that HAKU has academic scholarships available to students, not only of Hispanic heritage, but students just of HSI institutions. We also have several leadership and training and professional training programs. So that is something you can check out on our website. And if the last thing I really want to draw your attention to is if you are graduating in the near future, or maybe you are an alumni even, check out the Pro Talento job board. This job board is for organizations that specifically come to HAKU and say, we want to hire from your network. And you being here today on this session is evidence that you are a part of the HAKU network. And so these organizations want to hire you. So this is, part of job searching is figuring out where to look, right? Figuring out where those opportunities lie. And definitely Pro Talento is something to add to your repertoire as you look for jobs. And so again, these would be full-time, employment jobs. These aren't internships. These are, post-graduation jobs. But with that, like I said, check out our website for more information. There's lots to offer at HAKU, from scholarships to trainings to various internships. But I hope to see many applications as we move forward here. So lastly, like I said, I want to follow up with some contact information. I will pop the federal internship program email in the chat, corporates as well. And then I will also do the application link as well as the available positions. Give me 1 second here. Okay. The other thing that I'm going to pop in the chat again is the Google form. It takes 30 seconds to fill it out. If you could all fill it out, I can email these links to you directly after you fill out this form. So please do that. But here is the link to apply. And here is the link to available positions. And again, we add to this constantly. So, oops, I copied the same link again. My apologies. Let's do this. All right. Any other questions?
I saw a question in the chat.
Yes, we had a question from Tiffany. She wanted to know from the Career Center if it's possible to have her documents reviewed online because she isn't available to access campus.
The answer is yes. You can have your documents. We have, as I mentioned before, we have drop-ins, and drop-ins are both in person and virtual. So 2 days a week we are virtual, 2 days a week we are in person. So just check out our website, which is, I believe, in the chat, and you'll be able to do that. I'd like to say something about HAKU myself. I have been working with this organization for over 20, no, you said 22 years? It's been around?
HNIP has actually been around for 30 years, since 1992.
So at over 20 years, let me just put it that way. I've been working with this organization. These internships are amazing. They're amazing. I mean, right now they're in a hybrid format, which is good, and hybrid or virtual and some in person. But I will tell you, the in-person is also really great because you you get to live with other people that are pursuing internships, because a lot of the internships are in Washington, D.C. Haku pays for your transportation. They pay to get you there. They pay you, and then some of that pay gets deducted from your paycheck. But Washington, D.C. is a really expensive place to live, so they found housing for you. You get to meet people from all over the U.S. And then you get to meet people within, and your colleagues or your classmates are working all over. And so you get to meet people from different agencies. And if you're interested in working for the federal government, this is a great way for you to get connected. And we know you don't like the networking word, but it's just simple. You just meet people and talk to them. And so it's a really, really good opportunity. Virtually, it gives you a different type of opportunity where you can connect with people and not have to leave your home. And sometimes I know it's not possible for you to leave your home. So this is a great way to also make those connections. And they have good training program that they have in place. And the opportunity is really, really great. I've worked with them for so long that one time and the speaker was sick, and I asked for their presentation in advance, and so I asked this. We had like 100 students, and I asked the students, "What do you want? I can present this information to you." So I did the presentation, and most of the students stayed. So I just wanted to let you know about that, how I feel about this organization, the richness that it can bring to your life and the opportunity that it can bring you. Okay, I see that there are more questions in the chat. So John, can you please read us the questions from the chat?
Yes, so we have, our next question is, does Haku work with or place any students in nonprofit sectors?
I was just typing up my response. We do not have internships with nonprofits. However, I will say, Jan, I really appreciate you sharing your perspective on Haku. I know if I would have known about this in college, I would have applied every single semester. These are life-changing internships. And I know it might sound, silly coming from a staff member that's wanting you all to apply, but I hear it on the daily. We were just in a session, professional development session last week, and interns were saying, I never thought about a career in the federal government as being an option for my major or something I would even like. And yet here I am finding a really good fit. So I think, going back to the nonprofits, here in DC, nonprofits and the federal government are so linked. I think, as I come from a, international relations background, and being here in DC just has really opened my eyes to how much the federal government does interact with nonprofit sector as well as the private sector. And so you may find that you, have an internship that you never expected existed in the federal government. And, I'll just go back to what I was saying before, in the wide variety of majors represented, if you are, if you do have that international relations background, we work with USAID, which gives grants to nonprofits across the country. We work with, USDA that works on rural development and, housing plans across the country. So there's just a huge variety in the offerings available. And I just hear all the time from interns that, this internship has truly changed the idea of their path in their career, as what's possible, what they want. And the internship might not always be the perfect fit, but that you still are going to learn so much. Learning what you don't like as much is just as valuable sometimes as learning about what you do like. So I just encourage you to approach this internship program, as well as any internship for that matter, with an open mind of what can be learned as you step out into your career and what is available.
Okay, John, the next question.
So the next question, Hannah did answer it. She answered a couple of them. One of them, well, both of them were from Sergio. And he wanted to know if Haku had any positions for computer science majors or anything software related. And Hannah did relay that, of course, they did. I'll let her.
Yeah, I can expand on that. Computer science is one of those majors that every single agency has positions for. Computer science, business, finance, human resources, and what's our other really big one that, and public affairs exists in every single agency. Every single agency needs those components to do what they do. So that's where I go back to, we work with the US Department of Agriculture. You might think farms. It might be all that you think about, but they have an IT department. They have a human resources department. They have a business department, finance, public affairs. And that goes with all of our agencies. So computer science is one of those that is in every single agency. And if I didn't just list your major, that's not to say it's not in every agency either. But, for example, the Security Exchange Commission wants like 40 law students. And then we have, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration that wants all environmental science. So there's really that variety. I can't hit that home enough, I guess.
I have a question. I would like to know if you could explain the internship that you mentioned available for graduating seniors with the Library of Congress.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Library of Congress, we have a partnership with them to do a program that's called a conduit program. And what it is you apply through the internship program application, through the Haku, the HNIP application that I put in the chat. You apply through that, and we will, screen through, and recent graduates we will specifically consider for this conduit program. We end up, like we do for any agency, send application packages to the agency for review. Typically with our internships, Haku serves as your employer. We're the ones to pay you, and then you're contracted to work with the federal government. This conduit program with the Library of Congress for recent graduates is different in that once we pass over your application package, they start onboarding you and you actually become a Library of Congress employee. And like I said, it is an intern to hire type of scenario. So you are hired for a temporary position, but they do have the goal of having you converted to a full-time employee most of the time. So that is where, that's why it's a recent graduate position, is because it's that intern to hire scenario. And like I said, you become an employee of the Library of Congress as you move forward in that. So it's another fantastic opportunity. It is paid as well. I'm not actually sure of the rates off the top of my head since it's not Haku pay rates, but it would at least be similar to our internship program.
I have a follow-up question for that.
Yeah.
So what's the content? What would you be doing in that internship?
Great question. So there's often several positions available each term, and they also have a variety of needs. I believe all the positions fall under the title procurement technician. But actually, I was just in a professional development seminar with somebody talking about how to apply to federal jobs. And the first thing they said was, don't look at job titles. It doesn't always tell you as much as you need to know. So procurement technician in this case We really have the flexibility of sending over lots of different majors, a lot of liberal arts majors, a lot of law, a lot of business, finance,
Humanities.
What was that?
Humanities.
Yes, humanities, not a lot of STEM, but library, a lot of so social sciences, liberal arts, business, and accounting. And they, based on your major, depends on what you do. So they kind of holistically look at, okay, these are the applicants we have, how can we place them appropriately throughout the library? And so your duties would depend on your background, but it is a lot of, reviewing, Library of Congress documents and filing, and analyzing those materials and making sure that they're processed for the Library of Congress.
Great, thank you. John, do we have any more questions?
We don't have any more questions in the chat.
Okay, if you have any more questions, please put them in the chat. I'd like to say once again, this is an extraordinary program. I know in the last few years, things have been challenging for all of us, and we've all had to kind of change gears about directions that we're taking. This program can really open your eyes to things like that you've never seen before. And I know that is what Hannah said, but it's really an extraordinary program. And it somehow, it's a little bit of a hidden secret on our campus right now. And I'm not sure why, but I can chalk it up to the pandemic, but I really don't know why. We do get the word out there to students, and it is really a great program. Like I said, I'm a firm believer in it. So make sure when you're writing, even when you're writing, and you have a chance to print out what you write, right? In the before you submit, you can write different sections and you can print that out. Okay, so those sections you can bring to the Career Center and we can review them for you. And I think it'll be really helpful because the more information that you can get, the better it is for you. And the more review you can get, the better it is for you. Okay, John, I see there's another question in the chat.
Yeah, and actually I see it. So I'm happy to answer the question, which is realistically, how long does the whole application process take? And, the application kind of depends on how much you have prepared already. Do you have a resume on file you can reference? So I'm not sure I can answer that. I did go over the application components, but, you fill in your education information, you fill in your work history, additional skills, and then that personal statement. But like I said, it's very short. And you have a lot of freedom on how to pursue the personal statement. Admittedly, some agencies look at it, some don't. All agencies will look at your transcripts and your resume. So that's where we really want you to focus your attention in completing that application. Once the application is submitted, it just depends when we submit your application. You are notified when we do submit your application to a particular position. And then you would have time to prepare for an interview. Again, some agencies do interviews, some don't. It's up to their personal preference, so that you are prepared for that if that does come your way. The other thing that I just wanted to add, I believe CSUN uses Handshake. A lot of our positions are also posted on Handshake. Handshake will refer you to our application site. So you can't apply to, through Handshake per se, but that is a place that you can also look up those positions. And I do also just want to do a plug. I know CSUN has a deaf and hard of hearing center on campus. And we actually have a position specifically with the U.S. Department of Agriculture looking for a deaf or hard of hearing applicant for a reasonable accommodation support services. And so if you have anybody on campus that you know of, since y'all are CSUN students, that has any connection to that center, please encourage them to apply. It is posted on our website, so you can check it out there.
Oh, that's really great. Yes, CSUN is the second largest campus with a population of deaf students, deaf or hard of hearing students. The first is Gallaudet, but they are a university that is focused on deaf and hard of hearing. And then we are the second largest. So we'll get that information out to them.
Yes, and that is on CSUN's Handshake as well.
Oh, that's exciting. No, okay, I have to check that out.
I think I just got the request this week, so I think it was posted yesterday, but looking for actually an immediate hire on that one. So spread the word.
Okay, sounds good. Do we have any more questions coming in?
There are no more questions at this time.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and then wrap it up. And I'd like to say, again, thank you so much to Hannah for coming and connecting with us and sharing the information about this wonderful internship opportunity. I strongly encourage you to apply. Come to the Career Center if you need some help. We're very much will help you with that. Some thank yous are coming in. Please fill out that, it's a Google Doc in there. Did you say there's a Google Doc in there? Please fill it out for Hannah, because it really does make a difference to the work that she does. So even if you're not interested in pursuing today, please fill out that form. It will be really, really helpful for her. And also, I would like to say, thank you for coming to Internship Week. We have 2 more sessions, and the next session is with E&J Gallo. They're a spirits company, a wine and spirits company, and you might gain some insight of what it would be like to work for an organization like this. It's a family-owned, multi-million-dollar industry and company. So it's very interesting. So it come to that. And then our final session for the day is, let me see, it is our final session will be, oh yes, with the J. Paul Getty, a multicultural, Getty Merrow multicultural internships. And so if you're interested in working in a museum setting, just like Hannah was saying, just because it's the Department of Agriculture doesn't mean that there are only jobs in agriculture. Same goes for the museum industry. So any industry that you're in, you're going to find that it's open to what we've brought to you. It's open to all majors. It's a paid opportunity. It's in LA County, and some are remote, some are in person. They're a variety. So we hope that you come to that session. It was very popular last spring, as was Haku. And again, I want to say one more time, thank you so much to Hannah. And, please contact her, because she's got great openings. She's actually saying, please give me a call. So there's lots of thank yous going on. And thank you, Hannah, and we'll also get that form out for you too. All right, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.